Hello and welcome to Faraja Digital TV. My name is Shalom Nauhira Chantal. I work as a programs officer at Faraja Africa Foundation. Today we are here with the Women Campaigns 2025 and I'm here with my guests before I do the introductions. Over to you to introduce yourselves to our audience.
Thank you very much. My name is Nantongo Bashira, a parliamentary aspirant for the constituency of Busiro North, and I lecture at the Islamic University in Uganda. It's a pleasure sharing space with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Donzen Mwanguzi. I'm a mental health advocate and also an advocate of young people. I work in SRHR, but I'm also a male change maker for the Women Uganda 2025 Plus, paired with country representative Ms. Gift Malunga of UNSPA.
Thank you very much. So I know the next questions are why the Women Campaign? What is Faraja Africa Foundation? Well, Faraja Africa Foundation is an organization that is youth-led, entirely operating in East Africa and other parts of Africa. We have very many flagship programs like the National Youth Parliament, the EU Sounding Board. We have the East African Youth Parliament, so many others that I cannot, finish all the projects that we are running, all the programs. So today we come with a very new and exciting campaign for women. It is here to tackle very quite diverse issues and challenges that women face on a daily. I mean, we're looking at violence, we are looking at abuse day and night, we are looking at teenage pregnancies, we're looking at quite a number of issues that women are, faced with. So I'm not only here with myself, I'm here with our guests who are going to have insights on what exactly is silence, what does silence come with, what is the cost of silence. So we know and we have we can acknowledge the fact that there is quite a number of initiatives that have come up. Parliament has increased seats for women in positions. We have had the UN coming in and to advocate for women. We have had quite a number of organizations, that is Australian Development Corporation. We have had GZ. We have quite a number of initiatives that are running, to tackle the issues that women are facing. So through these initiatives, we are looking at influencing policy, development, and promoting the positive social norms to make sure that women can also be able to have a voice. So through this platform, we're going to go through a series of, conversations, and I hope that is fine with you. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming through to have a conversation with us. So first of all, what do you understand by the phrase, the cost of silence? What comes to mind?
I think it's basically that particular time when someone chooses to ignore. It's basically when you even know, it doesn't come in situations when you don't know entirely. Sometimes you know, but you prefer to keep quiet. Or sometimes you know, but you prefer not to intervene. That is why one of my friends, Pierre Lumumba, talked about the three categories of people: the idiots, the tribalists, and the citizens. So those categories of people, most of the times, are the people that influence that. The silence, they initiate the silence. The idiots are always these people. For as long as I and my family are okay, for as long as I'm safe, I'm not affected by the poor health, I'm not affected by the education system, I'm safe. And the tribalists are these that, my friend here, Bashira is one of us, even if she steals, she's ours. Remember what happened in the Marathi saga? So those are the people that initiate the silence. And now the cost of silence is basically what comes after that silence. After you keep quiet, after you don't respond, after you see things and think maybe you are safe or you don't have to intervene, what comes after? So to me, I think that is what comes to my mind.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, wow, it's very very tricky, but I think I'll see it as how many young people are now struggling because we don't speak up, but also the social and cultural norms that have been tied around us, that when you speak up, especially for men, it's a sign of weakness and you cannot stand up for the women. So I feel like that alone is preventing very many young people from fulfilling their full potential. We are seeing the rise of teenage pregnancies among young girls and unwanted marriages, and this is all a cost of silence. We are seeing unfavorable policies that are actually affecting the day-to-day life of a young person, including access to education. So I feel like for me, that was what cost of silence would mean.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, ahead of the Beijing 30 plus campaign and all this that is going on, we're looking at having an open conversation on how and what the challenges really are, what impacts can we create, what can we change. So that is going to bring me to my next question, which is, why do you think survivors often remain silent even when there are laws and support systems in place for them? I'll start with you.
That's great. I mean, when you look at the cost of, again, silence and what you kind of like losing when you speak up, at a certain point you choose to stay quiet even when you're not like happy. When you look at the laws that we have so far, they do not favor someone who come and defend themselves. When you look at how many women are experiencing gender-based violence and how many cases that have been solved around that, there are very few. The manipulation that goes on, especially from the perpetrators. When you look at what provision looks like, this woman thinks that the life is revolving around her not speaking up. So she's going to keep on being oppressed. So at a certain point, it becomes a survival instinct that when I speak out, I'm going to lose more. Yet not knowing that when you speak out, you're actually saving more people who otherwise wouldn't have. So a lot of women choose to stay silent because of fear, the unjust laws around it. Access to service provision is very, very strict as well. But also the burden of proving and justifying that you're a victim. At a certain point, it prevents very many women from opening up and, sharing what their story is, because you're reliving experiences that you don't want to relive. But also you are not given shelter, away from the perpetrator or the violent person. So instead, for you to protect yourself, you choose to stay silent. When you look at how teenage pregnancies are happening right now, it's things to do with traditional norms and wealth and what. This young girl doesn't have choices to make because the family is going to decide for her, or this person defiled and raped her, and the family wants to keep their name. So they will keep on silencing this person or marrying them off because they know when you get married, you'll not come out. So a lot of young women and girls fear. Also, they fear for their lives because we know some of them die during these violences, and even when they come out and speak out, they die. We see also violence happens. Perpetrators sometimes could be high-profile individuals, who can silence you. So because of the fear and the unjust society, culture, and social norms, women tend to keep quiet, and it does more harm than good.
Okay, well, let's hear your
I think it's a priority quest. It's a priority question, to be precise. When we choose to draft policies, you see that most of the policies that have been drafted for women and girls are basically to solve if the child or a young girl gets pregnant at 15. What do we do? They are suggesting family planning. They are suggesting go back even if you're a mother. Until we sit down and ask ourselves, the perpetrators of this gender-based violence, the people that inflict pain on the people or on the young women or on the young girls, until we get a solution for them. Because at the end of the day, when the policies just take them to court, do you know how many cases are stuck in the offices of the DPPs? Because probably, I know actually of a certain man, we have fought him in our area. He has raped almost all his girls, the children. But whenever he goes, he's out. Even women in the neighborhood fear to pass near his house, because when you pass there past midnight or around 11 or perhaps 9, he can rape you. So until we draft a clear and fulfilling policy, because at the end of the day, you can't say imprisonment and it's just there. There should be something, the way we critically think about young people being in schools, the way we think about young girls going back to school, finishing studies and what, before we even suggest the family planning. I am one of the people that don't agree with family planning for young people. If it's affecting women in their 30s, probably who even have children. Imagine if a 16-year-old girl is introduced to family planning. What are we doing? So until we sit down and devise means that is going to give the survivors confidence to come out and speak. But you sitting there and at the end of the day, nothing is going to be done. Why would I speak in the first place? And sometimes it's even bringing about crimes. Because actually you would rape me and I might not take it, I will kill you. So it's also increasing the crime rates, because at the end of the day, there is no justice. And again, I think it's also a question of culture and religious issues. So religion and culture really control us. The expectations, for one, I come from a Muslim background. There are expectations of a young Muslim woman. So there's things I would not openly speak. How can I even say that? Even a sheikh will look at it, So most of the times you keep quiet, even when you want to dissolve a marriage in Islam. You may not openly express yourself because of fear of judgment. Even when it comes to culture, society expects you as a young woman to behave a certain way. So when you compile all that, definitely these young people or these women are going to keep silence, because at the end of the day, they know there are a lot of walls to break.
That's true. So is this the part where we said the law has failed us? So says women.
It's true.
But if this is what we really are going through, and the fact that we're still having this conversation and it is still occurring in our communities, that means there's a lot of work to do, especially on dismantling the social norms and the culture that we are dealing with. If you cannot speak up, that means we still have a long way to.
That's why it's a priority quest. Until the people in power feel there is that urge, they will. If they reach a time and prioritize women and their issues, then our issues will be, handled well. That the moment our government now is interested more in issues of security and what. That's why even where you don't see need for military will always be there, because it's a priority for them. Mm-hmm. So the moment we prioritize issues of women, definitely all these issues, we won't even be discussing them.
Okay, so that is going to also bring me to my next question, which is, how do you think we perpetuate silence around gender-based violence and discrimination? In this context, I'm talking about individuals, the institutions, and the policymakers. How do you think they look at it? What do you think comes to their mind? How do they understand the silence around gender-based violence and discrimination?
I think I would want to first take it a little back from her submission, especially when it comes to family planning. I think family planning is contextual as well. Family planning is not necessarily the use of contraception among girls and boys. Family planning is me knowing that, okay, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to study, and when I'm ready, I'm going to make an informed decision to get a partner. This is going to be my job. These are how many kids I'm going to have. And, it's a developmental issue. It's not necessarily the use of contraception. When we go to the use of contraception, I know very many people disagree with it, and many agree because sometimes it actually helps you and it sometimes saves a life. Imagine a teenager who has been raped or defiled by someone we don't even know. If they have an access to an emergency pill, there's a possibility that you're going to save them and they're going to continue with their school. They're not going to get that unwanted pregnancy, and it's still at an early stage. So I think that helps. And also, we are looking at safe sex. We know that there is STIs, HIV. If a young man knows how to use a condom, it's a form of also contraception. It's going to prevent STI transmission and also pregnancy. And this is at the right age. So I feel like some of the hindrances are more of like, what information do people have? And I feel like also this is what takes me back to the communities that we serve, that in most cases they don't have the comprehensive information to actually make informed choices, but also support the people around them. Because if you know the referral pathways of, if there is a victim of violence, how do I report this case? How do I follow up? Who is the gatekeeper? Who is the policy maker? So sometimes in communities, these people don't have this information, to support one another. But also we need to know that at a point there is systems that are actually there to safeguard. And I think right now we are making progress. It is slow progress, but the progress is there. We cannot say that we are where we started before, when things were not even talked about. We are somewhere right now, but I think as communities, we need to be more interested in what this information means. We need to be more interested that inflicting pain is not a sign of love, as many would put it, that a man doesn't beat you, doesn't love you. No, those are myths.
Around it.
Yeah, around it. We need to follow up. Why are children out of school? What is going on? If you see, like back then when we were growing up, and they could say that raising a child was a community thing.
Yeah.
Right now, it's no longer so much. That.
So
I'm not going to find someone's kid on the street roaming and you ask them, why are you not at school at this moment? Yeah, they're going to be like, who are you to ask me? But back then, it could be, a communal thing. So if a child is out of school, if this man is actually preying on teenagers, and even if you're not a teenager, but you're not consensually agreeing to sleeping with them or have sex with them or be in their control, communities should turn up.
Okay.
And speak about it and actually report it and eliminate this threat from the community. So I think we need to speak more up. We need to have more information, and I think such podcasts are very important because people get to learn. We need to contextualize also information, because we know we have culture and social norms. How do we approach these gatekeepers in communities? It's very, very important. We need to work with family. We need to restore positive family traits, because our charity begins at home.
True.
If a teenager was given birth, and there are many chances that even my kid won't go to school because I've not gone to school. I'm not been nurtured in the right way. So if I give birth to a kid, there is that cycle that is going to happen. So how do we get back these children and take them back to school? That is the school re-entry program that we are talking about. That, okay, this happened, it's very unfortunate. We are sorry, but there is hope. So you get these children, you take them back to school, you nurture them, you raise them, you give them compassion so that they can become more productive citizens and proud of themselves. So there you kill the pattern. And also when you take them back to school, you're actually cutting the repeat pregnancies. Because we have a lot of teenagers who have gotten pregnant, young people who have gotten pregnant, but because we are redundant on being intentional on re-entry and rehabilitation, they end up getting more pregnant. So for us to catalyze the repeat pregnancy, we need to have rehabilitation mechanisms. We have to emphasize school re-entry. We have to provide reasonable accommodation so that these young girls can fulfill their full potential. I think I've talked about this.
Yep. Because I was actually going to come down to the question of how do create safe spaces for these girls, and I feel like most of my questions are actually then answered in one, at once.
Actually, they carried a lot, and I wanted to add on something. You talked about the rehabilitation issue, and something you talked about that brought me to a conclusion of the need for civic education. I don't know who is going to be tasked with that, because I think civil society is doing its best, but we need more intervention from the government. And yesterday I was on a certain talk show and I was saying, It is intentional by the government, but of course we shall not blame the government for everything. Today we are in a digital era where whichever issue you could be interested in, you can find it online. But now the rehabilitation issue, there is a myth that whenever I was even talking to a friend, he has a son who has issues related to that, dropping out of school even when they are paid school fees and what. So most of the times when you recommend Butabika, people think it's only mad people that go to Butabika. So I think there is need for this. And also, schools have those departments of guidance, counseling, and what, that the people they employ there are not actually experienced, or they don't have the expertise of doing such. There are certain schools where we conducted the research in Kumi, in northern Uganda, and shockingly, there are some schools where the senior woman was a man. So imagine, it was that shocking that now how can you be referred to as a senior woman yet you are a man? And how can a girl confide in you entirely? So there are a lot of things that we have to do, and it is unfortunate that we are only relying on civil society. It is you people in civil society organizing these talks, creating this awareness, but you need to actually see how you involve the government in most of these things regarding gender-based violence, because this is not a one-man's road. It's our collective effort as individuals here.
Thank you very much. Well, I feel like we need an hour or a day to have this conversation, but I'm still going to come down to one thing. If you had a chance, in your capacity, or if you can recommend on anything, what is that one bold action, that you think of that would end the harmful silence in Uganda? What do you think it would be, in your opinion?
I think if you want to hide treasure from Africans, put it in writing. People don't like to read, but that takes me back to how can we simplify information for young people to actually get it. We have a lot of social media going on, TikToks and what. How can we utilize this and leverage to actually share information? So if I were to do something, I would increase access to information, because regardless of how much wealth and things that I have, if I don't have the right information to use it, I'm going to kind of spoil it. But also the issue of rehabilitation itself as well, it's not a mental health issue alone. It is a restoration issue, like restoring the life and health of someone. If someone has been abused, if someone has been violated, if a girl has gotten pregnant, after they are done, how do you restore hope? That is what rehabilitation means. It does not necessarily mean you being locked away in Butabika or what. All of us can be rehabilitators. Yeah, you can help a friend, you can go to a young girl, you can share your story, and help this person get back to the normal path of life. So that is what rehabilitation means. But of course, when you want to hide it, put it in writing. People don't read.
Yes.
So we need to share all this information and be kind to each other as well, and know that you always have to defend the victim. You always have to stand by them, and you always have to support them through the right and legal ways. Don't be violent.
Actually, additionally to what he was saying, I think it is also going to be, before you increase access to information, you have to understand the people. Today, you see us politicians busy slaying on TikTok because we understand most of our voters are there and we would want to fit in exactly and make them feel that we are part of them. And also policies that I would say there are many policies in the shelves today, like the marriage bill. We have the paid care, and also the minimum wage. To know when those policies are worked on. Most of the times you see even young girls suffer with their mothers most of the times. So when a mother is empowered, she will not beg for her daughter to go to school. When a mother is empowered, she will not beg for the law to act. So most of these people, even when you open a police case, you have to go with money. So most of the times when you are financially empowered, it is almost a gateway to achieving most of the things. And also, I'm still thinking about a policy. Actually, I'm writing a policy brief. I'm publishing it by the end of this year. I'm publishing a policy on mandatory first aid training amongst all of us. But again, I'm now thinking critically of a policy that is now going to also make the boys fear more impregnating girls. And I want that policy to be as tough as possible. Because as a woman, as a young girl drops out of school, the boy should also drop out and take care of the girl. I'm thinking clearly and positively about that, and I know I'll come up with a clear issue, because now we have to suffer the same. The burden on the girl side is way too much.
That's true. Yes, true. Why should it be only the girl child? Yeah, I think it comes down to empowering both genders and making sure that we're all on the same page so that we can be able to tackle all these issues. This brings me to the end of my show, and I would love to thank you so much for being part of us and also being able to speak about gender-based violence and what the cost of silence can bring about. So it's at this point that I request my guests to give us parting shots, and then we'll come to the end of the show.
I would say for every young child, for every young boy, girl, their lives matter. And we can only achieve like success if we work together. So I want to promote allyship, boys being allies to the girls, and also creating safeguarding measures around both to make sure that this can be your sister, this can be your brother, this is how you can coexist, and how this is how you defend each other. And also looking at the politician, how can we increase household income so that these young women and girls can afford their lives as well? Because I think we are pointing guns, but we need to point them in the right direction. Yeah, so I think it's very important as well to look at that.
I would say that it starts with us. For every change you want to champion, it starts with you. That thought of the Uganda you want, that thought of the community you want, that thought of how you want a girl child to be in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years, starts with you. Everyone should think positively and see how they contribute. And as you think, if sometimes you cannot implement it yourself, seek partnerships. Whenever we always share good things, there are always people whom we share visions, and they will always embark on the journey and support each other. Otherwise, as we blame the government, as we blame civil society, as we blame policy makers, we should also blame ourselves for also spearheading silence.
Well, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the show. My parting shots will be: do speak up, do not be silent. Had a great day.
Thank you.